Hey guys, it's Jeremy again. Welcome back to Turn Pages, and today I have a series review for you guys. Today it's been about 2 months since I've done a video. My life's been crazy, and I'm actually planning a whole new YouTube channel, which probably will go up at the beginning of September, maybe towards the middle of it, because I'm still planning a lot of it right now. But back to books. I did recently, in that 2 months, read a series of books that it's not really for me. It's not really for me. It's something I can't really get on board with, and I'm going to review it in the best way that I know how. The series is the Accord of Thorns and Roses trilogy companion, eventually going to be a part of it, series by Sarah J. Maas. I did read all 3 of these, and I gave them ratings as well. I'm going to go and blow through the books. Book 1 is A Court of Thorns and Roses. The second book is A Court of Mist and Fury, and the last book is A Court of Wings and Ruin. Now, the books have really pretty covers. I really like the covers, but the covers, what's on the inside is what really just killed me. But basically, the premise of this series, this is a high fantasy series involving fae, which I was really excited for, especially when this cover released a few years ago. I was really excited to read it. Basically, the series follows our main female protagonist named Feyre, and she basically provides for her family. She basically, gives them food and whatever else they need in the modern world. And when she kills a wolf, not knowing what he was actually not a wolf, but he was Fey. And so this couple days later, this big beast-like thing approaches her door saying, hey, you have to pay for your crimes for what you did, so you have to leave your world and live with ours forever or die. That was basically what she had. So instead of dying, she has decided to live forever in the world of Fae and all the courts and craziness that ensues. This was my favorite of the 3 books, but it's still kind of trashy at the same time. There's a lot of ridiculousness, there's a lot of sex, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of shenanigans things that happen within these books that I'm just like, really? Did that need to happen? But it really does have a lot of interesting characters, and does have a map in here as well, so that's pretty cool. But one of our main 3 core characters of the series involves Feyre, Rhysand, and Tamlin. Tamlin is the beast that basically forces her to come into that world, and she slowly, throughout the course of this book, begins to fall in love with him, and then he's kidnapped, and then she has to go and find a way to rescue him, and basically Feyre is basically an idiot. She basically puts herself in harm's way this entire book, and she doesn't really have a lot of backbone, which I was promised that she gets better through the course of the series. But I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. 400 pages and not a whole lot happened. It just didn't live up to the insane amount of hype, and we were promised that this was a fairy tale retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I love Beauty and the Beast. It's probably my favorite Disney fairy tale. It's actually one of my favorite fairy tales in general. This was not a fairy tale retelling in any shape, way, or form. So by that marketing of the book, I was already disappointed. But that's basically book 1 in a nutshell. We have our main character. She was interesting at parts, and I did really enjoy Feyre's being in her perspective, because this entire trilogy is in first-person female perspective. When it comes to fantasy books, especially particular books being in high fantasy, first person and high fantasy never go very good together, in my experience. I think third person is a much better writing style when you are writing fantasy. First person really is fine when you're writing contemporary or sci-fi or dystopian, but when it comes to fantasy, I really do not like first person writing style. It's probably one of the biggest reasons I did not like this, apart from the main character. So then we go into A Court of Mist and Fury, which continues the events of A Court of Thorns and Roses. We have Feyre as our main character yet again. She is living in the Spring Court, and she has Fey powers because of a whole lot apart from her dying and being resurrected at the end of the first book. By the way, this video is gonna have spoilers in it, so just FYI, BG dubs. And there's a lot of things that happen in this book that I was like, why are you doing that? And another thing I didn't understand is, why did this book have to be more than 200 pages longer than book one? The first book was 416 pages. This one is 624 pages. This was ridiculous in so many ways. For the simple fact, I thought not a whole lot happened in book one. Nothing happened for 600 pages. Okay, well, I take that back. I would say about 550 pages. There's about 70 pages of action and intrigue in this book. Like, this book, everybody who rants and raves about this series tells how beautiful, wonderful, fantastic, oh my god, I love Ray Sand. One of my biggest problems with the character of Ray Sand is that there is a attempted rape scene in the first book where he basically almost rapes Feyre, and that was just immediately one of the biggest reasons I did not like this book. I forgot to say that, so that's another reason it was like a 2-star read. Interesting world, loved Tamlin, but really hate everybody else. Sorry. And then this book is no exception. This book she basically leaves Tamlin or whatever, and then she is with the man who almost raped her in the first book, because that sounds like a good idea. And apparently everybody says that Tamlin and Feyre were in an abusive relationship, and I don't know where you're seeing that. I get that he's controlling a little bit, just a little bit, but Feyre's pretty much okay with that. She says it multiple times, it doesn't really bother her that much, especially in the first book. And a lot of my biggest issues with the first and second book, the first book I was pretty much okay, just the second book is where Feyre makes choices that are very uncharacteristic. They come out of nowhere. They're not realistic decisions. I feel like she goes into a lot of this without thinking straight and without really analyzing, is this the right course of action? Am I doing what's right? And most of the time she goes into it, and normally half the time it blows up in her face and becomes a giant disaster. And then in the end of the book, Tamlin does come back to Feyre, and he apologizes for how he treated her, because he does treat her, and he does some really betraying things in here. But I am a big believer there's still a really big reason why he did, and we don't really find that out in book 3 either. So I think if this was in multiple point of views, we really would have gotten to see inside of his head and really understand why he did what he did. I honestly believe there was a really big reason. I don't think he did that just to be an ass. I think there was a bigger reason for that, and I won't go too deep into what that was, because I want to keep some of this spoiler free in case you guys really do want to read the series. And she just treated him like crap. I mean, I get it though. I get it, but she wouldn't really give him time of day. And so she's now back in his court again, because she went to the night court after, excuse me, my nose is itchy. She was rescued by Ray Sand and his people, and so she went to the night court. Now she's back to the spring court. Why? Who knows? But that was the second book. And then we go into the last one, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin, which supposedly was loved and beloved by so many people, being a fantastic, explosive finale to this series. Now, there's going to be more. There's going to be, I think, 2 novellas and 3 full-length companion books that will follow secondary and other characters. If I do decide to read those, I'm probably going to be buying those for my Kindle, because as soon as this video is going up, I'm giving these away to my local library, because I want nothing more to do with this series. I feel like this series is incredibly problematic. I liked Feyre in book 1. I had a lot of issues with her in book 2. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say that. This book was 1 star. So was this. Feyre is now in the Night Court, supposedly being all sneaky and thinking that her shit doesn't stink, and she literally just thinks that she's all that in a bag of chips in this book, and it drove me nuts. Because she thinks that she's so, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm so manipulative, I can manipulate people too, You're a human. You're a human that has fae powers. You know nothing of the world you're living in. The only thing you know is living in this world for a short time, and you have fae powers because of what happened at the end of the first book. She got on my nerves. She got on my nerves big time, and I wanted to strangle her neck more than once. Overall, was this a satisfying series to me? No. There was no merit in the series at all for me. Basically, it wasn't the books necessarily, it was more me. They just weren't for me. But also, I gave these books every shot, and these books are not light. These are huge. This is the longest book of the series. It doesn't look that way, but that's because they did this like really thin Bible page thing. It's really short. This is like, how long is this? This book is 700 pages. Okay, well, 699, but pretty much 700 pages. There isn't we don't get any more world building. The world building basically is already established, so I'm guessing Sarah J. Maas just thought we didn't need any more. So we don't really get a lot of new world building in book 3, and we do not get to see a lot of more character development with the characters. We barely see Tamlin yet again. Feyre is still with Rhysand, which is problematic as hell, and it's one of the biggest issues that I have with this entire series. Yeah, because in truth, Rhysand is worse because he nearly rapes her, and he's very rude to her a lot in these books, and I'm just not. This series is very much loved by so many people, and I'm literally looking at myself knowing why. Why are these books so loved? I do not get it. I guess I'm just the odd one out that I just don't understand the hype surrounding the series. But that's okay. Books aren't always for everyone. I can just give these away and hopefully someone else can love them and they can love them a lot. I can find other books and series, which is just fine with me, so it's okay. I do like how with each book the map slowly got a little bit more detailed. This is the map for the last book. I love with each book the map for me, the map's not that special. It's very basic. It's not very beautiful or detailed. The only thing that was in Rhysand's perspective, because we were promised a different perspective in this book, and we were lied by the author, or maybe not lied, but misled, because the only thing that's in here is the prologue, and then the rest of the book is in Feyre's perspective, because it starts with Feyre up there thinking, oh, well, this book's going to be more in her perspective. No, the whole book is. The whole book is all 700 pages of nothing, because not a whole lot happened in here either. A lot of planning of war, because there's wars going on with other courts and then this enemy is coming in, and a invading king. So overall, just not my cup of tea. That's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And that's sirens, if you can hear that. So, but overall, I think would I recommend them? I don't think so. There's just not a lot of merit here for me. And another reason is the series very much screamed feminist in a lot of ways. It really looked down a lot on male characters, and it very much pushed like the female empowerment movement thing that's going on in the world in books. And one of my biggest issues is Sarah J. Maas identifies as a feminist, and my biggest issue is it was basically forcing her views on women and being strong and girly and feminist and wonderful onto the readers, and that's another reason I did not really enjoy these books. I feel like Feyre just had a lot to be desired, and she could have been a wonderful character. Like I said, the first book really wasn't terrible compared to the second 2 books, but at the end of the day, I just found a lot of problematic elements with all 3 of these, especially a lot of the diversity elements that's in the third book. We have a character that is a lesbian, and then she finds herself attracted to a man, and then it's like she finds herself attracted to a man. He's like, oh, well, maybe if I sleep with him, I'll be cured. I have a lot of issues with that, and there's a few other LGBTQIA representation that is very dangerous and false, and I'm not okay with that either. So I'll leave some links down below if I can find them. I'll post all that down below to all of the research that I've done on these books. They're just not that great to me. That's okay. I did not do a disclaimer on, this is just my opinion thing. I'm not doing that. We are in 2017. We're all adults, most of us, or we should be. I think I can have my own opinion without having to do a disclaimer, and I'll explain more about that in a future video. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I said something that would either, well, it's a negative video, so, but just because I disliked these does not mean you can't enjoy these. I mean, if you really like Fae series and things like that, then I would recommend checking them out. If you're anything like me and did not enjoy these books, but you are looking for a Fae series, I highly would recommend the Iron Fae series by Julie Kagawa. The first book is called The Iron King. I really recommend that. I think I have a review of that. If I do, I'll leave it down below. But I don't think I have it anymore because I think I deleted that like a year or so ago. But I'm in the process of repurchasing those and rereading them and then doing more formal reviews, because that is a absolutely fantastic fantasy world around Fae that has so much world building, so much character development. I think Megan is so much better of a character compared to Feyre. I honestly don't really understand why these books are popular. It's just one of those things I just don't get. And what I'm most disappointed is the advertisement that we were originally. The first book was everything. The first book, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Each book in the series was going to be a loose fairy tale retelling, and it would take place in different worlds, different characters, different stories, but it'd be loosely tied in upon a fairy tale. So the first one was supposed to be Beauty and the Beast. I didn't even see anything of Beauty and the Beast retelling in that whatsoever. So the second and third books were supposed to be like that, and I'm guessing the author decided that she didn't want to do that anymore because she got attached to the world and characters, which I completely understand in that. I mean, the world is interesting enough, so it does have a little bit of merit, but it doesn't have enough merit that I felt that I loved these, and the only reason I continued on with the series and finished it was the fact that I did spend my money on all of them, and all of these books got super hyped. I didn't like book one. Everybody's like, well, read book two, you'll love it even more. Nothing happened in that book for me. Like 600 pages of boredom. I was almost tempted of getting it on audio just so I could finish it, but I pushed it through. And then the last book, I felt like I was drunk half the time reading it because I couldn't stand Feyre. She just became very cold and heartless and mean. She didn't care about anybody but Feyre. But whoops, excuse me, she cared nobody about a little bit of her friends, and Raysan, that's all she cared about. She didn't care about the other people or how much they were willing to sacrifice themselves for her, and I just can't be okay with a kind of selfish character like that. So that's my thoughts on this series. You're more than welcome to give it a read if you want to. I gave 2 stars to book 1, and both of these books were both a 1 out of 5. So probably would give this series a 1.3 out of 5 stars. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hopefully will be back soon. A small little note, I'm officially back during the daytime. I no longer work on overnight, so I have a lot more free time on my hands. I am a now cashier on days working for Walmart, which is wonderful, but, and I also have tons of more books. I've gotten rid of so many books. I probably got rid of a good 150 plus books from my library, so I'll be doing a bookshelf tour showing you guys those next week, so look out for that, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you guys later. Bye.